Tell us what New Hope looks like very quickly. What was the program? What did you do during the week? What would your sort of, I know this is a very silly question because it always changes, but what would your normal week look like when you got it established?
Our normal week was chaos, um, because they had chaotic lives.
Yeah.
People that we ministered to had chaotic lives. So what we tried to do is we tried to put a structure. So the first thing we did was we closed new Fresh Start Nine and renamed it, rebranded it, came up with our what are we about. So we had a strap line, as it were: compassion, enabling freedom from addiction. And we came up with that pretty quickly because that's what were about: compassion, enabling freedom from addiction.
Mm.
And we started working with the lads. It was a Sunday afternoon where they would come in. We would have a service. We would have a meal, and then from that we would ask them to come on what we called a program. But the only reason why we called it a program is because everybody else did programs, but it was nothing to do with a program. It was Bible studies, really.
Yeah.
But we did do life skills. We did social skills. We went out for days.
Mm-hmm.
We got them to plan a day out. It was quite funny sometimes.
I remember going to Scarborough, going to like the Flamingo Land.
Flamingo
Oh,
Land.
what a place to be! Flamingo Land with all these like New Hope guys.
Yeah,
It was brilliant. Anyway,
yeah,
sorry, carry on.
yeah. Well, we did different things like that. We got them to plan it. We got them to decide where to go, plan it, budget it, what we were going to spend our money on, how much we were going to spend, because all that was to do with budgeting their money. All that was to make them think, here is the benefits of having money. You can do some of the things that you want. If you stop drugs, you'll have that money.
Mm-hmm.
If you stop drinking, you'll have that money. You can do things that you really want to do. So we started to develop all those things. And then as we developed those things, we had developed the Bible studies that we had. Um, Mum had a thing that she did was fighting giants, and the giants in people's lives of low self-esteem, hatred of self. How do you deal with all those things?
Mm.
And so we did the fighting giants. Joshua going into the promised land, how he fought all the giants, and so we worked through that. We did a AA sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't AA,
Alcoholics Anonymous
an
sort of
Alcoholics
thing.
Anonymous.
Yeah.
But we dealt with issues. We did freedom to Christ,
Mm.
Anderson's book. A lot of people don't like that, but actually it really helped them.
Mm-hmm.
We did it in a controlled way. Uh,
So my understanding of it is on the Sunday was sort of the day where you'd have people drop in. So you'd have,
like a fishing pool.
yeah, like a fishing pool, yeah, or a pond. On a on a Sunday, you would have the church would be in the morning, and then you would have like a little service for the lads, and it'd be very different to a service that you would have as like a normal church, wouldn't you? You would
Very,
be preaching very openly and talking about things. I remember you talking about things very vividly. You told me stories recently, very vividly, and you do that with them, and they just fire questions back at you.
it was
Um,
interactive,
yeah,
very interactive.
interactive, and then you would like provide some food for them
Yeah,
afterwards, and then you chat with them,
yeah,
blah blah blah, blah do that, and then the week would be where there would be those who are serious about coming off their addictions. They would come during the week,
yeah,
and it would be a Christian program,
yeah,
Bible study
yeah,
program with life skills. So
yeah,
that's essentially what it looks like, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah,
Um, did it work?
yeah. Well, uh, we developed it over time. We had different groups that came on it. Our first group was not the same as our last group.
Mm-hmm.
Our first group was they wanted to work. They thought work was that. So we developed it around that. So we had an allotment. A long story about that, but we had an allotment,
Mm.
and that was developed. The guys went up and dug and dug and dug.
That was good fun. That one
It was great fun for them. They loved it. They planted things. They saw things grow, and we were able to speak about weeds and about sin, and about all that kind of stuff. It was quite amazing, really. Other groups wanted to do crafts. Other groups wanted to do cooking lessons. So we listened to them and developed the program around the group that we had at that time.
Mm.
We had people from Northern Ireland who were sent over from Northern Ireland who got caught up in the troubles, who were involved in paramilitaries, who got involved in drugs. They couldn't cope in Northern Ireland, so they would send them over to us. and we developed a way of helping them. So there was lots of different things, lots of different ways that we developed it, and it grew from really just a Sunday afternoon.
And the people that came were, addicts to alcohol and drugs and gambling and lots of different complex issues, and a lot of them were from sort of abuse, weren't they? From backgrounds where they were abused and stuff like that. How did the Bible and the Christian faith impact some of the people's lives? Did you see a massive change in a lot of people's lives, or were there mixed results, or were they? Tell us a little bit about the people who you reached with the gospel.
I think it took about 7 years before we had the first person who we would say became a Christian, and
not just become a Christian, but be free from their addiction.
Yeah. So Tom, we met. Actually, what happened was I got a phone call from this guy who said that he had heard that we do computer courses. Now, at that time, we did do computer courses. That was a part of our English and everything like that. And learning English, learning maths and sort of stuff. And he wanted to come on and do computer course. And I says, no, we're not really about that. We're about it. And he says, yeah. He says, that's the reason why I'm phoning. And I said, oh, all right. Can I come and see you? He says, yeah. He says, if you can stand the smell, you come. So I went, right, okay. I've been to tons of places, tons of bed sets and tons of flats. But I went into this flat as bed set. And I would say it was the worst one in the 18 years that I was there. Bed was all soiled, no carpet, just mess all over. Had a toilet that was in the room that had a crack in the bottom of it, and it was stinking. The place was. Thankfully, I don't have a sense of smell, so I can be anywhere. I have no sense of smell, but I was told that the place stank. And Tom was there. He was yellow. His eyes were yellow, and I mean yellow. And he looked at me and he says, my doctor has told me I've got a few weeks to live. I've got cirrhosis of the liver. I'm dying. What can you do for me? And I said, nothing. I can't do anything, but I know somebody who can. Who's that? He said, Jesus Christ. And I said, I'd like to pray for you. I said, I'm not promising you anything. I said, one thing I will promise you, I'll be here for you. That's all I can do. And I'll pray for you. So I prayed for him and I asked Jesus to come into his life, to Jesus to change him, Jesus to save his life. And as I was praying, I opened my eye and looked, and I saw a rat coming out of the toilet, a crack of the toilet, messing about in his little flat. And I'm like, what on earth am I? Reality. And I left him. He started coming onto the course. He struggled to get there, to be honest, struggled to walk. But one day, he asked Jesus into his life. Simple. He said, well, I'm going to give this a try, he said. So I can do nothing else. I suppose it's my last chance. And so he did. And lo and behold, God changed him. The yellow went. He lived longer than the few months. And I transformed life. Totally transformed. And he said to me, he says, Alistair, he says, I want to go to the doctor and I want you to come to the doctor with me. Yeah, no problem. So I went to the doctor and the guy looked at him and he said, Tom, you're alive. He says, you're not yellow. You should have been dead. He says, Jesus Christ saved my life. This man here prayed for me. Jesus Christ has come into my life. He's changed me. He's made me a new creature, he said. Just telling you what he said. And he said, no medicine did it. Jesus Christ did it. And the guy said, well, I can't argue with that. and Tom came out. He was chuffed. Tom was amazing. He played the saxophone. So he went into church. He went from New Hope into the church, played the saxophone. Brilliant saxophone player. Painting. It was a brilliant painter. He actually had paintings in the Leeds gallery. Transformed life. Amazing.
Very talented man.
Very talented man. But wasted because of alcohol. And then God changed him.
Yeah.
He was about 40, 50 when God changed him.